Kia ora, welcome to Observing Nature with Jamin this morning and Arthur's Pass National Park. Well, today I'm wearing my favourite shoe as usual for the last few years, the Inov-8 XT255. Really like this shoe for various reasons. Had a few cons, but really like it very much. Looks a bit like this. Of course, I've got my gaiter on. The main feature I like about this shoe is the tread on the bottom. Nice chunky tread on there. That's one of the things I love about these shoes. 8mm lugs. It's also pretty good in the alpine, rocky terrain, getting grip because of those lugs, and even a little bit in the snow. I don't really use, not really snow too much, but just crossing an odd patch here and there. And well, I do a lot of riverbed work on this sort of stony ground, much like this, and river crossings are regular, so having a shoe that drains away fast to dry out as opposed to a boot is great. But having something with good tread and grippiness is good. The cons of the lugs on the stones is they don't provide a big surface area to contact, but they make up for that by having the lugs you can fit into gaps and on the edges of the rocks to get grip, because even in the slippery algae rivers surface area doesn't help. It's getting your foot locked into a edge or a gap on a rock or joins between rocks that gives you stability in your feet, I find. So yeah, I found it a really good all-round shoe. Disadvantage of wearing them on rock is they wear out the lugs pretty quick, but not much choice about that around here. Can't change my shoe every 10 minutes. They're really great though on the leafy, loamy soils in the forest and any clay bits on the alpine. So I really like them for that. Is the main feature. The fact that they also, of the Inov-8 range of lugs like that, they've got the least amount of drop. Well, it did have the least amount of drop, and a reasonably semi-wide toe box, not really wide, but not a narrow toe box, not the narrow model that they have. So that's why I like them. They got about 3mm, 4mm of drop. So yeah, that's my main like about the XT255. I've got 5 pairs of these shoes. This is my 3rd pair. Got another pair, well, another 3 pairs of the smaller size. So I've got another pair of the smaller size I'm currently wearing for the alpine or sub-alpine work trips I do, so above the bush line. Whatever I'm doing, mainly hunting in the last little while, a little bit. So yeah, it's a smaller size, so it's a neater, tighter fit for sidling around steep stuff, rocky sub-alpine to alpine terrain, not in the snow much. And I've got another pair of those I just brought because they're going, the XT255 is no longer made by Inov-8. They discontinued that line and replaced them with a whole lot of lines, the mud line. So I just brought in another pair of the smaller size for the alpine because I think they're the best shoe for me for steep terrain. Having those 8mm rubber lugs on the bottom. Not really spikes, just lugs. Lots of gap in between. And I'm replacing my wider ones for riverbed work with some wider, slightly more cushioned shoes because my feet are giving me a bit of trouble on the front of them, apart from wearing out, which happens to all shoes. I have a slight issue with my heel rubbing at times, but that's my foot, not the shoe's problem. I have narrow heels. I always buy, I've got the women's model of the XT255. And so, yeah, so the heel's not the shoe's problem at all, that's my body. One heel, my I had bursitis in my heel on and off over the years. But stretch really helps. Yes, it should. The one con I've had with the XT255 is getting sore from the front of my feet. And I thought it was just because I was overdoing stuff, not to do with the shoes. When I'm doing like 12-hour days, or a couple of 12-hour days, pretty sore feet at the end of it. Walking a lot. But I've just recently, investigating the shoes further, noted that because of the nice 8mm lugs, once the shoes are worn out, like these ones, or pretty well worn out, then yeah, is the EVA foam in the sole, well not in the sole, but the EVA in the actual shoe compresses and compacts down, which I usually compensate by putting some extra padding in the front once they're half worn, so some felt or some neoprene with the EVA rubber, just a thin layer, 2 to 4 millimeters. Anyway, I'm speaking of the shoes more recently, more closely. While I was doing that, I noticed that the lugs have compressed in, so the EVA in the shoe is compressed up and around the lugs, so the lugs are creating high spots in the shoe bed, which is compounded into the inner sole. Changing the inner sole helps a little bit, but it's still just flattening out the problem. Anyway, just because the shoes are really lightweight and the EVA in them compresses up pretty quick, then that's a problem I've noticed. So they're still my favourite shoe, and I'll still be using them for the alpine. I'm keen to try out some different shoes for wider toes for riverbed work, valley work, although I'm going to miss having the 8mm lugs because I can't really find any shoes that have that sort of thing. 6mm sort of the max, and even that's not very common. The ultras I'm getting have only got like 4mm tread or something, which is not almost nothing for me. But anyway, I'll give it a go and see what I come up with. Anyway, so currently XT255 has been my favourite shoe the last few years. Still is, except it's gone out of line. They do have replaced the X-Talon line with the Mud Talon basic models. From what I can make it, there's 3 models. There's a heavier duty one with more stack in it. Can't remember what model that's called. And then there's a speed one, which is a narrow version. And there's a zero drop version, which is what I'd like. Apparently they're wider than the old ones, but I've yet to figure that out, see them. I have seen the speed models in New Zealand, but that's the narrow version, so it's no good for me. I don't want narrow. So the speed version, looking at them in the shop the other day, they are narrower than my the current 255s I'm wearing, and so I don't really want those. I don't have to go too big, too long to get the width. So I'd be really keen to try some Inov-8 Mud Talon Zero Drop. If anyone's going to bring them to New Zealand, that'd be great. Because currently I can't get them in New Zealand, I can't get them in for overseas. So if anyone wants to bring them in, any wholesalers or Inov-8, change the international shipping so that they can ship here, that would be awesome. I'd be very keen to try out the Inov-8 Mud Talon Zero Drop shoes, if I can get my hands on them. And a 6.5 women's, 6.5 UK women's. Whoops, this river crossing is a bit deeper than I hoped. I'll just go downstream to it. Shoot. Get my trousers wet because I'm not concentrating. I'm picking the river crossing together. No, I didn't really get my trousers wet. Close. Close. Anyway, that's the Inov-8 XT255 outgoing model from Inov-8, but I love them. Got 5 pairs of them, worn 4 of them. In fact, I've worn 3 of them right out, pretty much. And fourth pair might last me next summer. I'm lucky, depending how much alpine stuff I do. Yeah, I'm off it. Thank you, Inov-8. And for the XT255, the previous models, like the XT200, the 255 version 1 wasn't very good, wore out and fell to bits. With the version 2, the red one, wearing now, been pretty good for wearing out. Oh, they wear out like shoes, but anyway. Catch you later on. It's the derby nature of Jamin. That's my shoe review of Inov-8 X Talon 255 version 2.
My favourite shoe.